The president suggests that his infrastructure plan could have prevented Monday's crash, but the numbers show that he drastically tried to cut transportation funding. Back in May, his proposed budget cut, just as I said, was a total of 13%. That includes $630 million in cuts to Amtrak, also $928 million taken from transit construction grants. The White House reportedly planning to unveil details of a $1 trillion infrastructure plan next month, as outlined in the president's federal budget in May. It's going to include a $200 billion offering in new federal spending during the next decade. The rest of that spending comes from sources like state and local taxes, tolls, fees, and private investments.
All right, joining us now is Barry LePatner. He's the founder of LePatner and Associates, a construction law firm based here in New York. He's also the author of a book called Too Big to Fail, Too Big to Fall. Too big to fall. America's failing infrastructure and the way forward. So, Barry, putting aside the fact that the president has overseen cuts to infrastructure and he is sort of politicizing a tragedy, the fact is he's right, as was President Obama, as have been so many other people. We've got crumbling infrastructure in this country. The American Society of Civil Engineers, who may be a group with a dog in the hunt, says that we score about a D on our physical infrastructure.
The problems with our infrastructure that cover our rails, cover our roads, our bridges, our water supplies, our natural electric grid have been proceeding apace in a terribly negative way for 40 years. No president, no Congress, nobody in this country has shown the political will or the political leadership to tackle the complexities of these projects. And there's no silver wand to wave. Anybody can say, I want to fix this, I'm going to put money into it. But unless you understand the details and unless you get into it with the people who understand it, you're not going to see a real meaningful fix. And we're going to be in worse shape 5 years and 10 years from now.
Well, then what does that mean for everyday citizens? When we talk about positive train control, Congress put this in 10 years ago, a mandatory regulation that keeps getting pushed back. And probability and statistics will show that the longer you wait, the higher the chances are another problem will occur. So should we feel safe getting on trains just before the holidays?
Well, the answer to your question, Stephanie, is we haven't any right to have felt safe for the last 20, 30, and 40 years. Our bridges are crumbling. We have 8,000 bridges that engineers say could fall at a moment's notice. We have drinking water that we're losing 10 billion gallons of potable water a day. Our fractured electrical grid could be hacked on a moment's notice and cause us a natural catastrophe. We don't have the comfort, but nobody in our Congress, nobody in our state governments, nobody in our federal leadership is taking a hand to get their arms around it and understand what we are facing.
So one of the things you point out that 40 plus years ago, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, when we were building infrastructure, everybody felt like they were getting something in return. A lot of our tax dollars were going to infrastructure. Today, that's not the case. A lot of it goes to debt and other programs. But you got a highway system out of it. You got, there were projects and you felt you got it. Nobody wants to pay taxes or increase taxes to keep the things that are already there, to keep the maintenance of the things that are already there. And we're suffering the consequence of having been a country that has grown and grown and grown without upkeep.
Our nation's history has been inextricably bound together with the growth of our infrastructure. Every time our nation has committed investment funds to build our intercontinental railroad, to build the interstate highway system, to build our dams and our bridges, we have gotten a return on investment of multiple times.
Then why does it take so much political will and leadership? All of these arguments that you're both making make absolute sense. It helps the country. Tourists want to come. It puts people to work.
Has a good return on investment. So why don't we do it? Because it's a lot of money?
I've been with members of Congress. I've been with members of the lobbyist groups. I've spoken at organizations from the Brookings Institute on to many other organizations about this. Money now is going towards the personal interests of politicians who seek to be elected. They want photo events. They get no benefit from fixing the underside of a bridge that's capable of falling down. That was the lesson that we learned in Minnesota with the I-35W bridge. For $18 million, the legislature had a chance to fix that bridge, and they called it a budget buster. And our nation then, after it collapsed and killed 13 people and injured 145, then spent over $135 million on a new bridge. And we continue to have that attitude.
Right.
Up the road from where this rail disaster occurred, We had the I-5 bridge over the Skagit River collapse a few years ago, and we were all on television, and we all talked about how horrible the situation is. Not one material change in our transportation policy, in our infrastructure policy.
So it's just not sexy. There's no political return. We know there's economic return for doing this, but there's no political currency in getting up there and saying, I'm going to run on a platform to fix the infrastructure that you don't even know is broken.
And we're going to see that this plan that comes out in the next week, I will tell you privately from the congressman, it's dead on arrival. It's not going to go anywhere because of the problems. It needs to be funded by tax increases. And what congressperson is going to say that?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.